The adapted story of Dr. Dolittle, told by Hugh Lofting and Skippy John Polynesia Jones. Once upon a time, many years ago, when our grandfathers were little children, there was a doctor, and his name was Dolittle. John Dolittle, M.D. M.D. means that he was a proper doctor and knew a whole lot. He lived in a little town called Puddleby on the Marsh. Whenever he walked down the street in his high hat, everyone would say, "There goes the doctor. He's a clever man." And the dogs and the children would all run up and follow behind him. The house he lived in, on the edge of town, was quite small, but his garden was very large. His sister, Sarah Dolittle, was housekeeper for him, but the doctor looked after the garden himself. He was very fond of animals and kept many kinds of pets. He had a kitten in his piano, rabbits in the linen closet, and a hedgehog in the cellar. He also had 2 lambs and many other animals. But his favorite pets were Dab Dab the duck, Jip the dog, and Polynesia the parrot. His sister used to grumble about all these animals and said they made the house untidy. "John, how can you expect sick people to come and see you when you keep all these animals in the house?" So as time went on, the doctor got more and more animals, and the people who came to see him got less and less. And now people would say, "There goes John Dolittle, M.D. Look at him. He hasn't any money, and his stockings are full of holes." But the dogs still ran up and followed him through the town, the same as they had when he was rich. One day, the doctor was sitting with a friend who asked, "Why don't you give up being a people doctor and be an animal doctor?" "That man's got sense," said Polynesia. "That's what you ought to do, be an animal doctor." Polynesia told the doctor that animals had a language of their own and could talk to one another. And that afternoon, while it was raining, Polynesia gave him bird words to put down in a book. The doctor got to learn the language of the animals and understood everything they said. One day a plow horse was brought to him, and was terribly glad to find a man who could talk in horse language. "That vet over the hill knows nothing at all. He's been treating me for 6 weeks now, for spavins. What I need is spectacles. I'm going blind in one eye." Of course," said the doctor. "I'll get you some at once." And soon it became a common sight to see the animals wearing glasses in the country around Puddleby. And a blind horse was a thing unknown. He became famous among all the animals all over the world, and he was happy and liked his life very much. Once an Italian organ grinder came round with a monkey on a string. The doctor saw at once that the monkey's collar was too tight and that he was dirty and unhappy. So he took the monkey away from the Italian, gave the man a pocket watch, and told him to go. The other animals called him Chi-Chi, which is a common word in monkey language meaning ginger. And another time, when the circus came to Puddleby, the crocodile, who had a bad toothache, escaped at night and came into the doctor's garden. When the circus men came to take him back, he got so wild and savage that he frightened them away. But to everyone in the house, he was as gentle as a kitten. So then the doctor's sister came to him and said, "John, you must send that creature away. Now the farmers and the old ladies are afraid to send their animals to you. I will no longer be housekeeper for you if you don't send away that alligator." "It isn't an alligator," said the doctor. "It's a crocodile." "I don't care what you call it," said his sister. "It's a nasty thing to find under the bed." So Sarah Dolittle packed up her things and went off. One night the monkey Chi-Chi ran in, badly out of breath. "Doctor, I've just had a message from Africa. There's a terrible sickness among the monkeys. They have heard of you and beg you to come." Then they began to wonder where they were going to get the money from to buy all the things that they needed. So early the next morning, the doctor went down to the seashore. A sailor said he would lend them a boat. And the grocer agreed to give them supplies and wait for her money until they came back. Then the crocodile and the monkey and the parrot were very glad and began to sing because they were going back to Africa, their real home. And the doctor said, "I shall only be able to take you three with Jip the dog, Dab Dab the duck, and Polynesia. The rest of the animals will have to go back and live in the fields where they were born till we come home again." Now for 6 whole weeks they went sailing on and on over the rolling sea. Then a great storm came up. Presently there was a big bang. The ship stopped and rolled over onto its side. So Dab Dab dived right down under the waves, and when she came up she said they had struck a rock. "We must have run into Africa," said the doctor. "Dab Dab, take this end of the rope, fly to the shore, and tie it onto a palm tree." "That's what you call a lifeline," said Polynesia. When the sun came out the next morning, they went down to the sandy beach to dry themselves. "Dear old Africa," sighed Polynesia. "It's good to get back. Just think, it'll be 169 years tomorrow since I was here, and it hasn't changed a bit." Then the doctor missed his high hat, so Dab Dab went out to look for it, and presently she saw it. "What are you doing here?" asked the duck. "You were told to stay behind in Puddleby." "I didn't want to be left behind," said the kitten. So the duck took up the hat with the kitten in it and brought it to the doctor on the shore. "That's what you call a stowaway," said the parrot. And soon a yellow man came down out of the woods and asked them what they were doing there. "My name is John Dolittle, M.D. I have been asked to cure the monkeys who are sick." "You must all come before the king." "What king?" asked the doctor, who didn't want to waste any time. "The king of the Jolliginki," the man answered. "All these lands belong to him, and all strangers must be brought before him. Follow me." So they gathered up their baggage, and they went off, following the man through the jungle. When they had gone a little way through the thick forest, they came to a wide, clear space. The king and queen were sitting under an umbrella before the palace door, and Queen Ermintrude was asleep. When the doctor had come up, the king asked him his business, and the doctor told him why he had come. "You may not travel through my lands," said the king. "Many years ago a white man came to these shores, and I was very kind to him, but he dug holes to get gold, and he killed all the elephants to get their ivory tusks. Never again shall a white man travel through the lands of Jolliginki. Take away this medicine man with all his animals, and lock them up in my strongest prison." Then they all grew very sad, but Polynesia said, "I'm small enough to get through the bars of that window. That's what you call a ruse."